Welcome to the Pregnancy Help Podcast. I'm Christine Grimmett. I'm here at Heartbeat International's annual conference in Salt Lake City. And while we have the conference going on and workshops and keynotes, there is another floor of this hotel we've taken over. In fact, I think we've taken over the entire hotel with Pregnancy Help this week, which is super exciting. But we have a whole ultrasound clinical happening, the Love Approach Ultrasound Clinical. So we're going to talk about that in this episode. And in addition to that, and actually as a part of that training is the online ultrasound training that Heartbeat Academy offers. And I will include some information on that course in the show notes if you're interested in enrolling in that. So with that, I'll get us started by introducing Lisa Bourne. She's our managing editor of Pregnancy Help News. And so I'll turn things on over to her to get started.
Thank you so much, Christine. It's a pleasure to be with you, and it's a pleasure to be with our two guests, Ariana and Christa. Christa Brown is Senior Director of Medical Impact for Heartbeat, and as such, she knows all things APR and ultrasound and many, many more. I'm sure I could go on, but I won't. So we are here, as Christine mentioned, on the ground at Heartbeat's annual Pregnancy Help Conference in Salt Lake City, where that LAUC training is going on. So for our listeners who are not familiar with the Love Approach ultrasound method, Christa, could you catch them up on that first?
Sure. So the Love Approach Ultrasound Clinical really is the approach of introducing that mom to her baby for the first time. So the technical skills, the measurements, all of that is so important, and we're teaching that. But our focus really is on that mom's experience and giving her that valuable information that she needs to make the best decision possible for herself and her child and for everyone involved in that pregnancy. And so we are using the same approach that others in pregnancy centers use, which is the Love Approach, but we're using it in the ultrasound room also. So it all matches up, it all aligns. And in addition, we are also doing our very best to love on these medical professionals this week as they take this training. We don't want it to be stressful for them. We're trying to create an environment of learning where they can really sink into their mission and sink into what God has called them to. And so this is learning technical skills, learning the love approach, and also learning a bit about the spiritual warfare and how to combat that as they go back into their ministry and work in the ultrasound room and realize all the difference that they're making, but also that there's going to be some opposition that comes against them as they do that.
So for a little bit more context, this approach is, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple years old. Is that right? The love
yes,
approach? Okay.
Probably about 3 years old, yes.
And then you do these trainings a couple times a year in different parts of the country right now at Heartbeat's conference, but you've done them other times as well.
We typically do this quarterly, and we move about the country, and we've done this in many places. This week has been really exciting because as people are attending conference, we've seen many past attendees from other events, and they are passing us in the hall and grabbing us, and seeing them after a couple years is really exciting, and seeing how far they've come, seeing how the one that I met last night, she has already been promoted. She has nurses working under her. Everything is going well. And she said that she still pulls out the Armor of God sheet that she colored in our event and that we went through, that Ariana has done today. She's actually working on that. She has that in her ultrasound room. And her words were, "You changed my life." And really what we're trying to do is really impact these centers and impact these women that we're helping and help them fulfill their mission. But I think for those that come, there's also an impact for them of how do I do this? How do I fulfill this role that God has called me to? And we're trying to support them in any way that we can.
So Ariana, off the top of your head, you're in the midst of this training. What are the first words that are coming to your mind as far as how you would describe it?
Definitely feeling poured into, for sure. Like she was mentioning, I was very nervous coming into the event, just my past experience of being a nurse and nursing education in general, and never having like that spiritual component to an education training, which has been like phenomenal, definitely life-changing. Knowing what I'm going home to and like the battlefield that we're going home to, I feel like that has been a very huge part of what's made the difference for me in this training. So the love.
So one, the other, or both of you, can you walk us through basically, how the structure for the week? What's the approach of the Love Approach?
So we have classroom time, which is instructional, or it's devotion, spiritual enrichment. And then we have a live scanning room where we schedule about 80 models for each event. So the attendees are scanning models of all different gestational ages. And then we have some mannequins that we are scanning and learning on those. And then we also have some computers simulation where we are scanning with SonoSim, and we are having different types of scans at every single station. So they are learning different pathology, different gestational ages. They're learning so that anything that that can happen in an ultrasound room, they will be well prepared for when they go back to their centers.
Is it a really broad range of experience from which the folks come in to take the course? Is it a broad range of experience that they're coming in with as far as how advanced they may be in their skills?
And most of them are fairly new to pregnancy help. So they've come from different backgrounds, hospital backgrounds. Some have worked in clinics, but they're fairly new to pregnancy help. And that is part of why we wanted to incorporate the Love Approach, because this is just a whole different environment. Our world is much different than much of the other medical community.
Right.
And we need to incorporate more of the Love Approach into our scans. So it really depends on, they're all a bit different, but for many, this is an introduction not only to ultrasound, but also to the pregnancy help world.
You had mentioned, Ariana, that you had been a nurse outside of pregnancy help. So, and the spiritual component, you were welcoming that. Were there any other differences or surprises that you noticed coming into this training?
Well, I don't have any previous experience, like she said. I'm a cardiac step-down nurse, so I have not done ultrasounds in my experience. I've not worked with patients who are pregnant in any form or fashion. So just learning ultrasound in addition to, focusing on anatomy and what you're looking at has definitely been different. In my previous education in nursing, we used simulators, we used models and mannequins, things like that, to do different types of education. So that has seemed, fairly easy to comprehend and easy to move through. I would definitely say that the instructors, there's so many people that are upstairs that are really there to not only just teach us and pour into us, but really, really supportive, which is a little bit different. In nursing education in general, there's a term that says, nurses eat their young, and there's kind of like this feeling that sometimes nursing educators can try to push you to fail, but only because they really want you to succeed, but
Sure.
It's their way of being really tough. It's like tough love. Whereas here, it's not tough love. It's just real, genuine, support and love. Wow.
Tell us about the Armor of God project that Christa brought up.
Well, hopefully everybody who's listening to this knows what the armor of God is in the Bible, but we're just coloring a woman and reading different Bible verses that are pertaining to, your sword, your shield, and things like that. So, and I like to color, so it's really nice. But you're just spending time in the Word and, also using your hands to be involved in that. So it's been nice.
It's a bit of break between scans.
For sure.
Also.
It really is. And it's like a peaceful moment. Calms your mind because you can be getting a lot of information from so many different things at once. So it's really nice to just sit and read some Bible verses and take a minute to breathe and color, which you would think, how many adults still color, right? But I do too. It's so enjoyable, and
It is.
It's been nice.
Is there anything in particular that you have found challenging?
So I came, and it's an expectation that anybody who is enrolling in this class comes with, you have to complete your didactic training previously. So that's all of that basic education that you need to know. Plus you have to do 25 ultrasounds before you come in. So I had that basis of knowledge. I would say that I was familiar with learning how to do measurements and things like that before, but I really struggled with anatomy just because, like I said, I didn't have any of that OB kind of anatomy before. So that has been a struggle. But yesterday I left feeling a little bit anxious about it. And they just kept reiterating, like, trust the process, trust the process. It's all going to come together. Like, don't stress out about it. And I feel so much better today.
They certainly know of what they speak. What brought you to a pregnancy help center?
So my story a little bit is different than so many's, but my husband and I went through 6 years of infertility. And so pregnancy was something that, I really desired from a young age. I pictured myself being a mom, and we did become parents through adoption, which is amazing. But pregnancy just has a special part in my heart. And so I moved from Florida recently to Indiana about a year ago, and have spent some time in our community, in our church, and met Becky Bailey, who is the director, kind of started my organization called Bella Vita, and learned about her and what all she was doing through our church, and just told her that I really wanted to be involved. And we both prayed about it, like, ad nauseum. So, and she invited me to be her nurse manager. So I've been working through policies and procedures there, and working to get grants and things like that. And then she said that we were having this conference and really wanted for me to be able to get trained to do ultrasounds. So,
wow.
Yeah.
God's always working, isn't he?
He is. And I will tell you something. Just the whole time being here, like, you can really feel the Holy Spirit. And so many people struggle with, like, knowing what their calling is. And, like, even in nursing in general, you'll have moments where you feel like, okay, God appointed me to be here in this very moment with this patient to, like, walk them through whatever they're going through. But every step of this process, any type of involvement that I've had in Heartbeat, at my pregnancy center, like, I always have goosebumps. I always feel like I'm really, truly meant to be there. So
That's amazing. That makes you like probably most people in this ministry.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, if you had to explain to somebody that's either outside of the pregnancy help world or even the medical field what the Love Approach training is, or the method, and what it seeks to achieve, how would you explain that to them?
So we're reading a book. It is the Love Approach book, and I'm only on chapter 6, so I haven't read too much of it. But so it's an acronym. L is for listen and learn. O is for open options. V is for vision and value. And E is for extend and empower. And it's really, truly all just about, like, learning how to really communicate with somebody, learning how to really connect and love them through whatever situation that they're going through.
Well, we all know that it's a tried and true method. We've got it here at Heartbeat in a number of ways with training and such. So, Christa, for medical professionals who might be considering coming or could benefit from this, what would you say to them to encourage them to come and join you at a subsequent training?
As Ariana said, it's a hard week. It's a bit stressful, especially in the beginning, but we really do have a lot of fun. So we are learning how to serve these women who come to us who are in need of information. And while we're giving them that vital information to make the best choices, we're also loving on them. And so this method we have realized really works. And every single time we work to make it better. So every time we finish an event, we're looking at what can we do to make it even more. So for those who have qualifications and they would like to learn ultrasound, this is definitely doable. It's a way you could serve your community more to make an impact for life.
Well, wonderful. We've been talking here with Ariana and Christa, who is the senior director of medical impact for Heartbeat International. We've been talking about the LAUC, which is the Love Approach Ultrasound Clinical, taking place currently as we are recording on the ground in Salt Lake City at Heartbeat's annual conference. But it goes on other times throughout the year in other locations. And it's been great to be here with both of you. And with that, we will give it back to Christine.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I will provide some links to those training opportunities. I know we mentioned the online didactic training, which is a prerequisite to the Love Approach Ultrasound Clinical. That's also something that you can take at any time. It's a work at your own pace type of course. So I will include a registration link for the next ultrasound clinical and some other links below. I know there was a lot mentioned, so I'll go back and include what I can. If you do have questions still, you can always reach out to us at support@heartbeatinternational.org, and we would be happy to get you connected to our medical impact team for more information. So with that, subscribe to the podcast and share with others. And thanks for listening to this episode of the Pregnancy Help Podcast.